fat
Well,
and well
fortunately, while I was among the Muslims, I never lived beyond my means, and I have learned how to live within means. And I still have the clothes that was provided for me at that time. I'm in the house that was provided for me, although we're in a court battle. They're trying to get it back.
Within 5 months after this interview, Malcolm's house was bombed. And a week later, February 21st, 1965, Malcolm was assassinated in Manhattan's Audubon Ballroom. 3 men were convicted of the terrible crime. This reporter interviewed the only one of those 3 who admitted to the assassination.
Were you offered any money to do this?
No, I wasn't offered any money for my part in this. During the trial, I did state that, but that wasn't true. I was never offered any money, no.
Were you offered any assistance if you ran into any difficulty? Were there any assurances made for the protection of your family?
Well, I felt that the Muslims at the time would assist my family if my family needed some assistance.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that I was a Muslim at the time. And if I had gotten involved in something like this based on my beliefs and principles as being a member in the community at that time, that there would be some assistance in that respect.
That didn't happen?
Very little.
Where'd you get the weapons from?
The weapons, I picked the weapons up myself from an individual who had them, you know.
Weapons?
Weapons, yes.
How many did you pick up?
The ones that was used.
You picked up the shotgun?
Yes.
Were you the principal organizer of this?
No, I wasn't the principal organizer in respect to saying, well, the brain.
Who was the brain?
In that respect like that.
Huh?
Really was a collective effort and input into it.
But you were assigned to pick up the pieces?
Well, I knew I had knowledge where I could get things like that at that time.
Where'd you get them from?
I picked them up off an individual that I knew at that particular time.
In Newark?
He had, that individual had no knowledge of what my intentions was.
Where did you get the money to pick up these weapons?
Well, I had the money at that time.
How much did it cost you?
It didn't cost that much.
Give me an idea.
A few dollars here and there, not that much at all.
50, 100, 75, 8 million? What?
No. Really less than $100. Really
for a shotgun and 2.
Well, this was really. I could get them. I could get them at was no problem.
Tell me what weapons you did get though. 1 shotgun. And
the shotgun, the Luger, and the .45.
You got a Luger?
Yeah.
What weapon did you use?
I used the .45.
Where'd you learn how to use a .45?
Well, I don't know if I really was that learned at using it, but I think people on the street, you know, the average man on the street, I could use one just as well as the average guy, I guess. You know, I don't have any necessary expertise.
You had never fired one before?
Oh, I fired one.
Where?
I have gone hunting a few times.
With a .45?
Well, I've taken it with me. You know, it's not legal, but I've done it.
One doesn't normally think of hunting with a .45.
Well, you see, this is a situation where, you don't hunt with the .45. You carry the shotgun, the .45 under your coat, and when you get a chance to fire, you fire it every now and then. This sort of thing like this here.
All right, so you were practicing with it in the months leading up?
I have done this, not necessarily for this specific thing that I did, but I had done this.
Because one doesn't fire a .45 or practice unless they have something in mind and it's not hunting.
Well, Gil, I can disagree with you on that because as a kid growing up, I did a lot of things that was, didn't have any real aim and purpose in them, but I did them anyway.
I see.
This was really no thing that necessarily planned. This is out in the woods, and you couldn't fire a gun like that, let's say in city limits. You would have to be out in the woods anyway. So when I would go hunting, I would take it with me sometime. This sort of thing like this. That's all. Nothing more or less than that.
Make a wish, Ma.
Oh, let me get the plates, Mom.
With which arm? I don't mind, honey.
Mom, while you're up,
Now you, I mind. All grown up and they still depend on me. I wouldn't have it any other way. You know what I wished for out there? That I'll always be as independent as I am today, and that I never leave a burden to those kids. I know what funerals cost. That's why I got life insurance from the Colonial Penn Insurance Program. It's easy, affordable, and you can't be turned down, even at my age. I wouldn't trust any other program to help with one of my greatest wishes.
If the last thing you want to do is leave a burden to your loved ones, then the first thing you should do is call this toll-free number. Funeral and burial costs are at an all-time high, but so's the amount of coverage you can get with the Colonial Penn Insurance Program. Since coverage amounts are based on age, your available benefit will never be higher. Plus, the amount of coverage you choose will never decrease. And here are more smart reasons to call. Your acceptance is guaranteed. If you're age 50 or older, you cannot be turned down regardless of your health. It's affordable. Your coverage costs just $6.95 a month per unit. That rate will never increase for any reason. It's easy. There's no medical exam, no health questions. It's permanent. As long as you pay your premiums, your coverage cannot be canceled. It's smart. Your coverage builds cash value you can borrow against. Remember, the amount of coverage you can get will never be higher. The time to call is now.
Call 1-800-732-4445 to receive your free information in the mail. You'll get this handy guide to Social Security absolutely free. That number again is 1-800-732-4445. Or visit our website at colonialpenn.com.
hey, Mom, let me give you a hand.
Well, this is a first. Call the Colonial Penn Insurance Program for them.
Do you think that those who loved him had a greater obligation to offer him protection while he was alive? Do you think that we let him down?
I think that when people claim that they love a movement or they love a person or they love a thing and they only give lip profession to that, where they really don't come out and give the kind of support that's really necessary, when they really don't have the real kind of consciousness that it takes to protect and to help that thing to grow. See, when they don't have that, then they leave like a void for other things to get in. So what I'm simply saying is that because of the very thinking of the people, the government didn't care. You see, others didn't care. So when this thing came about, it just made it that much more easier to happen. But if the people had responded to what was being said, what was being taught at the time, like they would have, I doubt if this would have happened.
In other words, you're saying that you could see from the previous rallies toward the end of his life that only a relatively small number of people were around him who cared about him.
I think so.
Or who were willing to protect him.
I think so.
And that's what made it possible for you to move in.
I'm saying that if the consciousness of the people had been greater, if the concern of the people had been greater, then I don't think that anything like this could have taken place like it did.
In retrospect, do you think that any government agencies had any role in allowing it to happen? You must have thought about the fact that all previous rallies, police were there. Many feel that plainclothes police were there when you pulled the trigger.
Well,
what are your feelings about that?
Actually, from what I understand, there was one plainclothes police there whom everyone knows about today. That was Gene Roberts, I think his name was. Other than that, I couldn't say that that day that I actually knew that there was plainclothes officers on the set. I couldn't say that I actually knew that one way or the other. But from things that had been revealed from other investigations, I think it's a person's intelligence would automatically dictate to them that there probably was other officers on the scene at that particular time.
And still you'd go through with it?
I'm looking back at this from now. Then I wasn't thinking like that at that time.
Weren't there police outside when you entered the building?
Didn't you see police? I don't recall seeing any at that time.
If you had been casing the Audubon in the preceding weeks, you would have known, you would have seen police there, so it would naturally follow.
I understand that in the past the police was around. I don't actually, with this day, I don't actually recall seeing until I came out of the ballroom that day.
But wouldn't that have been a deterrent? I mean, the last time you cased the joint, as they say, police were there. You knew that police...
If it would have been a deterrent if the officer was stationed in such a position that it could have affected the situation of entering. It would have been a deterrent if there was a search at the door. It could have been a deterrent in that respect. You know, entering the place would have been impossible under those circumstances. But none of this happened.
And so even
to
though
my knowledge, I don't remember seeing an officer. He may have been there, but I just don't recall. I don't recall that.
Because those were very tense days, brother.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
And you knew that police were around there. Whether you saw them or not, you must have known that.
Gil, I can walk into a bank if my intention is of sticking it up. I know that there's police somewhere. But if I don't know where they are, what does it mean? You see, you can go in a place and come out. And there can be a different situation when you come out. So I couldn't say any more about it than that.
What were you expecting to get out of doing this? What did you expect to get from killing Malcolm?
Gil?
You think you would have been made a hero?
Actually, at that time, to kill Malcolm, I wasn't thinking in terms necessarily of being a hero. I was thinking really in terms of doing what I felt had to be done as a member of the Nation of Islam, FOI, accepting the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as a messenger of God. I felt that he was being slandered, castigated at that time, and I felt that in doing what I did, participating in this like I did, I felt that it was only an act of my duty at that time to participate in it. This was my feelings. Not that I was seeking any kind of heroism or anything like that, but I felt that as a member of the Fruit of Islam, Nation of Islam at that time, that for me to stand up in regards to what was taking place was the right thing to do. This was my feelings then.
But not now.
No, a lot has changed. A lot has changed. We had tried to find out when we could actually carry this out. One time, I recall, we had passed Malcolm's house. His house was heavily guarded, so it was obvious that nothing could be done at that particular time. And it was very difficult to say where he would be, whether he would be here, whether he would be there. So eventually, we knew that he would be speaking at the Audubon Ballroom. And beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is a place that we could be sure that he would be. And this is how we had came to decide that we would carry this out at the Audubon Ballroom.
Why would, of all places, you pick the Audubon in full view of hundreds of his followers? Why would you pick such a place? I mean, certainly this was not a kamikaze. You were certainly planning to live through this. One would think that you were really narrowing your chances of longevity in pulling off a deal in front of his followers.
I don't know, maybe there's a lot of truth to that. But at that time, as I recall it, it was just a place, the only place that I knew of, that we could possibly be sure that he would be there. And that taking into consideration the number of people and crowd psychology, we felt that we could do this.
What do you mean, crowd psychology?
The situation of a crowd, a lot of people, something happens, confusion and things like this here.
In the previous visits to the ballroom, what was your purpose? To figure out escape routes?
To look the place over. Look the place over and to figure out a plan of action.
Tell me where you sat.
Down in the front row, basically on the left-hand side, close to the front of the stage.
You mean down around in that area?
Wherever the rows started, around down in here somewhere.
Towards the center aisle.
Towards the center aisle. Right.
Now, when you got there, you all came in the same car,
Yes.
and 3 people were armed. You, another man who had a pistol, another man who had a shotgun. The 4th person had a smoke bomb,
Yes.
and the 5th person was unarmed.
Yes. Yes.
Now, there are exits on either side of the stage. This is the only one in the picture. Was there any plan for anybody to leave by that exit?
As I recall, the exit was not considered at the time. I don't know whether that was because it was locked or chained or what, but the exit was not considered as a means of leaving. We thought to leave by going back toward the entrance.
Coming back out towards
Coming back out toward the entrance that we had came in and moving with the crowd.
So tell me exactly what happened that day when it happened.
We arrived early. We drifted in 2 at a time, or 1 at a time. But going in, not together. We got there early. I remember Leon and myself coming in early, walking down to the front and taking a seat in the front on the left-hand side, close to the middle aisle.
What about this scuffle in the back where somebody had his hand in somebody's pocket or something?
Well, that was part of to distract the people in regards to, at the same time when the brother came out to start speaking, the brother would cause a distraction, and during the distraction, brother who fired the shotgun would fire the shotgun, and that's basically what we did.
So your eyes were not on the scuffle that was taken back, the diversionary scuffle, but you were watching Malcolm.
Yes.
So Malcolm walked out and he said his greeting.
Right.
And the next thing you know, you heard the scuffle, and then the man stood up behind you with a shotgun, fired the shot.
Yes.
And then you?
Myself and the other brother, we just fired out, walked toward the stage a few steps, fired our guns in that direction, broke toward the back.
Do you remember where you hit Malcolm?
No, I don't.
How many shots? Did you empty your piece?
No, I don't think I did empty my gun. I fired off a few shots. Fired off a few.